Hello everyone and welcome to Season 5, Episode 1 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we officially kick off our countdown of the top 50 matches in NXT history with match number 50 on our list, which is the contest between Oney Lorcan and Lars Sullivan from the September 27th, 2017 edition of NXT. So we talked about this a little bit in the introduction video, but I could have easily made a top 100 matches in NXT history. So that number 50 cutoff was really difficult for me to kind of determine, what match was going to hit that spot. And I had to look at a lot of merits for it. And ultimately, I ended up going with what I feel like is kind of an overall statement match in this one. And the reason I say that is this match is 2 minutes and 55 seconds long. Now, you might be thinking, how does a match that goes under 3 minutes, deserve this ranking more than a lot of, the classic NXT matches, on takeovers and things like that. And I think this match is a perfect example of making the most of your time. And I've talked about this, in previous videos before. We kind of have this preconceived notion, or at least some wrestling fans do, that you need an elongated time frame for your match to really make it into something memorable or something special. But here's a match that's less than 3 minutes that when I think of NXT matches, my head goes to this one a lot because of how awesome it was. Oney Lorcan in 2017 was, in my opinion, maybe the best professional wrestler in the world, whether you knew it or not. He is someone that every time he would turn up on WWE television, he would have these short, compact, amazing, balls to the wall, matches that would feel like a fight, and they would be so different than everything else that we were seeing with televised wrestling at the time that I would just be left in awe every time out. He would have matches with Andrade, he would have matches with Drew McIntyre, matches with Hideo Itami or Kenta, and this one with Lars Sullivan. I remember around this time too, he ended up on SmackDown, basically as like an enhancement talent guy for Kalisto. They were, trying to heat up Kalisto a little bit. I think they had him have a bit of a run through the WWE title tournament that, Roman Reigns beat Dean Ambrose in the finals of the Survivor Series or whatever. And I think Kalisto was kind of like this Cinderella story that made it to the quarterfinals. But along that way, they had him fight Oney on SmackDown. And I remember watching that match. It's not great. Same thing. It maybe goes about 2 minutes. But, it's just a Kalisto showcase. But very early on in that match, Kalisto botched a spot. And, that happens. It's unfortunate. And Oney Lorcan immediately pounced on that and was able to make that an element of their match for the rest of the match. And it was just like this amazing on-the-fly thinking that showed how versatile and how valuable this guy is as a member of the roster, because so many other wrestlers, Kalisto included, would kind of be like that deer in the headlight, like, oh, I just messed up my spot, what do I do next? Because it's so, meticulously planned out, and Oney didn't miss a beat. And I remember just being blown away by that. This dude is phenomenal. He's been released from his WWE contract. When his 90 days are up in February, I'm expecting him to absolutely rip up the indies. It wouldn't surprise me to see him end up in AEW because he is an ultimate utility player wrestler that you can put in any role. He can look great. He can make anybody else look great too. And this match is a perfect example of that. Lars Sullivan is a weird story. He is just a big, beefy man that we would ultimately find out, is a piece of garbage. Hence, why he eventually, he's no longer in the wrestling business, or at least in WWE. I don't know if he does indie shows anywhere, but I would hope not. But while this dude was around, he just seemed like someone that got it, right? That just understood what his role was in a wrestling match. He could sell which as a big guy, this big monster character that he portrays could be a little difficult, but he could do it and therefore make his opponents look good. But, he would always like show off this raw power and aggression. He hits hard. He was never afraid to be hit, which I think is an important part, for a big wrestler too. You can throw guys around all you want, but you have to show that you can take a strike too. And he was able to do that. And it's a story, that unfortunately over the past couple of years, we've seen play out so many times with these wrestlers, that we're fond of or that we see big things out of, their personal life, gets in the way. And he's an example of that. So I won't dwell too much more on Lars Sullivan, from this point forward of the video. But we'll talk about the match. And this match, again, like I said, it's under 3 minutes. My friend TJ Hawk did a review of this match where he actually gave it 5 stars, which, I'm not quite as high on it as that. But I definitely see his mindset in it, because this is a match where, they go out there and they're given what they're given. The wrestlers can't do anything about the time they're given, but they, like I said, they used every second of it to make it meaningful and have this memorable TV match. And the in-ring story here is just excellent. So Oney Lorcan kind of comes in and, typical, we talk about this, WWE patterned style of wrestling. He starts off lock up headlock, right? And that's how so many of these matches start. And he's, so preconditioned, going through the NXT system that's how a match would begin. And just Lars Sullivan's having none of it and immediately whips him off the ropes. And it's a huge shoulder block. And at this point, like, Oney realizes, I'm in a fight for my life. What I would normally do is not going to work against this guy. So Lars goes for like a big deadlift German suplex, and Oney just starts throwing these back elbows to get himself out of it. And the rest of the match is just Oney Lorcan hurling his body at Lars Sullivan and hoping for the best, hoping that he gets that kill shot that can knock this man off his feet. He hits this wild drop kick that sends like Lorcan kind of Sullivan into the ropes, and then he proceeds to just grab Oney and toss him right over the top rope, which was wild. He follows him out to the floor, but Oney's able to kind of like cat and mouse him and get back in the ring. And then again, just whips his body at Lars with like a European uppercut that knocks him off the apron. And then he goes for this wild, just hurling his body again, flip dive over the top. But Lars is so big and strong and so immovable that he catches Oney Lorcan and just hits like this wild, ugly slam onto the ring apron, and then proceeds to just gorilla press toss him back into the ring. When they're in the ring, like the pace here, it's just bang, 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 and it doesn't let up. And why should it? If you've got 3 minutes, you don't need to rest. You don't need to go to rest holds. You need to do what you need to do to win. So when they come back in, Lars goes for a charge and Oney cuts him off again with like another European uppercut and just starts going to work with chops. Lars Sullivan throttles him by the throat, which was an amazing visual, and Oney just starts slapping him. Lars Sullivan just like yells at him to say to bring it on. Again, another amazing visual that like sticks out into my head for this match, and that's why I chose it as the thumbnail. So Oney grabs him by his goatee and just starts slapping his face again, hits another big European uppercut, runs off the ropes for another one, and Lars Sullivan just kills him dead with a big time lariat, hulks him up off the mat. At this point, it's academic, hits him with the freak accident slam, and it's enough for the 3 count. This match, like I said, it's all action. It is absolutely incredible. It is this match should be studied by any wrestler that is ever on a show that doesn't have a lot of time. If you're opening on a show, with 16 matches like we see it, in some independent promotions, or if, you're an enhancement talent on television, or you're getting a shot on AEW Dark, to get squashed by Wardlow or whatever it is that you're doing, this is a match you should watch, because if I was a fan off the streets that didn't know these guys and was flipping channels and saw wrestling, I would see this and think, Lars Sullivan, this dude is a beast. He is incredible. He should be the world champion immediately. But I'd see Oney Lorcan and be like, that dude brought the fight to him. Like, he is a tough SOB as well. So, you have this, what's basically a glorified squash match where both wrestlers come out looking incredible. And that doesn't happen often. This match is such a thrill ride. It's action-packed. It's so good. And I've seen it 1,000 times because it is so quick. It's always a match that I'll go back and rewatch and just have a blast with. My friend TJ Hawk gave it a 5-star rating. You know, maybe he's not wrong with that. I had to include it on this list. I had a really hard time going any higher than number 50 just because there is so many quality, memorable, legendary NXT matches, but I needed it here. If you've never seen it, watch it, love it. It's less than 3 minutes, so it is certainly worth your time. We've spent, triple the amount of time talking about the match than how long the match goes today. As with anything WWE or NXT, if you're in the States, you can find it on Peacock. If not, you can find it on the WWE Network. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.